boy Ben and JV from JBM Sports Media, and here today we're going to be continuing our MLB season projection. We have 6 more teams. Well, after this one, we're only going to have 5 more. And today, we're talking about the Boston Red Sox, a very intriguing team. Obviously, like you guys know, we do the lineup, the rotation, the bullpen, and we conclude with the over-under win total. Give you guys our opinions. We want to hear from yours. So let us know in the comment section. But beforehand, JV, what do you think about this Red Sox lineup for 2026?
Listen, they have a really good lineup. I really like what they put together. I like the trade for Caleb Durbin. Marcelo Meyer, somebody who's been coming up through their system, who's been, an eye to keep on. Obviously, Ceddanne Rafael has been really good. Obviously, Roman Anthony has been the talk of the town. He had a really good, first half of his major league career last year in his first season. And Jarren Duran and Trevor Story are a really nice 1-2 punch there. Trevor Story had a really nice comeback season in 2025. But the question is, are the Boston Red Sox even going to keep Jarren Duran? Are they in his, are they in his plans for 2026, the rest of that year and beyond? We don't know. He's been the talk of trade rumors for a while now, being drifted out. It looked like the Padres were interested. So who knows what happens with him? But I love Wilyer Abreu. He's a guy that produces pop, and Wilson Contreras was another nice move that they made, shoring up their first base hole with obviously Tristan Casas. No one knows what's going to happen with him, and that could be a potential reunion maybe at some point, or maybe he actually doesn't play for the Boston Red Sox ever again. So we'll see what happens. But I think this team overall, Carlos Narvaez was a really good catcher for them last year too. I think he overachieved offensively. So This team really has a lot of good offense, and I think that's not going to be the problem with this team. I think obviously it's going to be their bullpen. We'll get into that later. But I think this offense is really going to be geared up for a good 2026.
Yeah, I love this offense. I think I'm looking at it right now. I'm all like, there's production here all around, and I love it. Jarren Duran, I do think for the majority of it, if it wasn't him getting traded this past year, I don't think he's going to get traded in the regular season. It could be an offseason thing. But I think he had a very good WBC with Team Mexico. Spring training so far, he's been doing really good. They just got to keep riding the momentum with Jarren Duran, in my opinion, especially with him being there. Roman Anthony. I think Roman Anthony's actually going to play the field, and Wilyer Abreu is probably going to be the DH if I had to assume, because Ceddanne Rafael is a great defender at center field. So that's just my assumption. But one thing I'm thinking right now is, like, where's Yoshida at currently? Because he's not in this lineup right now. So we'll see how that pans out. But are they willing to maybe move on Wilyer Abreu or Jarren Duran? That's actually a fascinating thing, actually, because maybe they could get a top-tier bullpen piece, or maybe they could get another frontline starter, depending how you look at it. So if that's the case, look, they could be adding, could be addition by subtraction type of thing right here. But I love this lineup in general. Wilson Contreras, major upgrade at first. No disrespect to Tristan Casas, but he's ass, in my opinion. That guy is not good. I think that guy's overhyped. He's overhyped.
And he's always hurt. He's always hurt. So
I like, you know what? I've never liked Wilson Contreras because he played in my division. Now that he's going to be in yours, you're going to see how pesky of a player this guy is. And trust, he really is. Wilyer Abreu, phenomenal WBC this guy had. Won it with Team Venezuela, had the big home run in the game against Japan, and in the final. He got to keep on that momentum and obviously stay healthy. Caleb Durbin, my guy. I think that's a great, phenomenal addition right there. They did lose Kyle Harrison, and by the way the Brewers have been cooking up with him, that may be a loss they might regret, but who knows? Caleb Durbin, though, offensively, he's going to give you what he gives you. Marcelo Meyer, I think it's going to be the major X factor on this team. I got to be honest, because what side of Marcelo Meyer are we going to see? Are we going to see when he first came up and he was doing pretty decent? Are we going to see when he was kind of teetering around before the injury? What version of Marcelo Meyer are we going to see? I do feel like the MVP of this team is going to be Roman Anthony, though. How can it not be? This guy's an absolute unit. He's a stud. I'm very excited. Like, this lineup is not what I'm concerned about, like you said as well, JV. But now let's talk about the starting rotation, led by their ace, Garrett Crochet, newly acquired Ranger Suarez, obviously newly picked up via trade, Sonny Gray, Brian Bayo, and another pickup via trade, Johan Oviedo. What do you think about this starting rotation right here, JV, by the Boston Red Sox?
I mean, obviously, Garrett Crochet is going to be, in the AL Cy Young, running for, the next 7 years. I think this guy's a top 3 pitcher, probably, not only in the AL, but maybe in the whole sport. I think he's that good. I think he could be that dominant. And pairing him up with another lefty in Ranger Suarez, who's pitched in tough divisions, having to face the Mets and the Braves and the pesky Marlins for, the majority of his career, I think he's going to fit in pretty well. I know he struggled in the spring. I've seen his numbers, but that's obviously, it's just a tune-up basically for these guys. I'm
Right.
sure he'll be really good in the regular season. Sonny Gray, to me, he's an aging veteran. Obviously, he provides some stability in the middle of that rotation, but you got to see how he pitches in big games. He hasn't pitched in a lot of big games in the last couple of years, being with the Reds and the Cardinals, and now to thrust him into the AL East, which is always a tough division, which he hasn't really pitched good against, is going to be interesting to see now that he's in Boston. And Brian Balo, and Johan Oviedo. I thought that was a really a good move there, getting Oviedo from Pittsburgh. I believe that was
Yeah.
that was a really good trade, rounding out the bottom of this rotation. I think Oviedo throws hard. He has a really nice fastball, and his breaking stuff really, it plays complement to his fastball. So it's really nice. His stuff is really nice. So we'll see how they could utilize him in that fifth spot. Me, obviously, the biggest question mark is not even what could they do with Oviedo, but it's Sonny Gray. Can Sonny Gray put together a solid season in that 3-hole and be, the stabilizing piece there and the backbone that kind of helps out Crochet and Suarez in that 1 and 2? Because if not, you're going to put a lot of pressure on that 4 and 5 in Bello and Oviedo to really perform. So we'll see how this rotation does in 2026. If they can stay healthy, they should be okay.
I think the thing as well is when you look at Brian Bayo, he's had his ups, but he has had a lot of downs as well as a pitcher. And it's just, what version are you going to see from him in a full year, fully healthy? I don't know. I guess we're just going to have to find out. But I wouldn't be surprised if Bayo potentially loses his spot in this rotation, depending how the year's going. They do still have that lefty Connolly Early, who's pretty nasty, actually, a very good pitcher. So if they could potentially bring him in the rotation or maybe rock a 6-man, it depends how it goes. But I think this rotation, for the most part, I see it, and I kind of like it. I think it's going to be very formidable is what I'm saying, especially with Crochet, Suarez as your 1-2. But now, obviously, let's get into their bullpen right here. And this is obviously their closer of the year for the AL. He won AL reliever of the year, I think, and Aroldis Chapman. What a phenomenal year this guy had. They have Garrett Whitlock, who obviously had a stinker of a moment in the WBC in the final in the 9th inning. But, hey, Mark DeRosa put him in that situation, so it is what it is. But regardless, still a very good pitcher. They have Justin Slater and Greg Weiser, who actually pitched very good for Team Italy, I think it was, JV. We were clowning him, but this guy actually pitched pretty good for them. And they signed Danny Colombe, another good lefty in the bullpen. So what do you think about this Red Sox bullpen?
I think it's a lot better than last year. I still do think it needs maybe another big arm just to be that bridge to Chapman. I do like Whitlock, obviously, being in the 8th inning, and Justin Slayton's not horrible, but he's also has his ups and downs. He's somebody that you could probably get to in the later innings, and you could be able to get to him maybe in the 7th or 8th inning, and then kind of ruin a potential Aroldis Chapman from coming in. He could probably blow a game open. But I like Greg Weissert in the middle of this bullpen. I think he provides some stability. I would like to see him ahead of Slayton, maybe put him in a second setup role,
right,
and have him maybe go out in the 7th or 8th. I think he'd be more trustworthy. And I like Danny Colombe as a lefty. I think it's a great signing. He's had some really good seasons, in the past couple of seasons. So I do like this as another lefty threat. And Giovanni Moreno is another nice pitcher. I think that's going to be a pretty decent pitcher for them from the left-handed side as well, renting out that middle relief position. So listen, as long as they have Chapman, who's healthy, and the workhorse that he is, and if they give him opportunities to pitch late in games, I think they'll be really advantageous at that point. If they can get into innings like 8 and 9, and they're up by 1 or tied, and they can go to a guy like Chapman, I really think he could lock it down and give this offense an opportunity to get up there and score some runs late in innings. So I really like to see what happens with a guy like Justin Slayton as well, being thrusted into that second setup spot. So we'll see what happens with this bullpen. I do think maybe at the deadline they should consider making a move, though.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There should be maybe one more addition to this bullpen, but it is a major upgrade compared to what it was going into last season, if that's the best way to put it. But regardless, I do like the setup combo with Whitlock going into Chapman. Maybe Colombe could be up there in the bullpen as well. Maybe he could be a 6th-inning guy if the starter doesn't go the longest, or even 7th inning, because Sladen, like you said, he's had his inconsistencies. But regardless, I'm seeing and I'm liking a lot of the stuff that the Red Sox have done this offseason, which now leads us to our over-under win total for the Boston Red Sox in 2026, brought to you by FanDuel. And the number is 87.5. JD, what are you going with?
I think I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go with 90 wins. I think they go 90 and 72. I do think last year they had won 89 games, I believe it was. And now that their offense looks really good and, almost like last year, but they did make some, additions with, what we were talking about Contreras earlier. I think they have it offensively what it takes. And their pitching their starting pitching definitely got a lot better. Even though there is some question marks, I still like the fact that they did get Sonny Gray. He could be a nice stabilizer. And Oviedo is a really nice stabilizer as well at the bottom of that rotation. And then leading back up to obviously, Ranger Suarez and Garrett Crochet running out that 1-2 spot. So I do think they have what it takes. I do think if they do add as well to that bullpen at the deadline, that they could be really, really good.
Yeah.
And I do think that they should win 90 games, and they'll go 90 and 72 this year.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I'm easily going with the over right here for the Red Sox. I think this team has what it takes to actually be. I'm going to go with 91 wins, actually. I'm going to go with 91 wins because as we did our previously, our AL prediction, I had the Yankees below them. So I have the Red Sox at 91 wins, and I think this team is going to be such a fun team to watch in the regular season with all the talent that's surrounding the storylines as well. How will Marcelo Meyer play? Like I said, he's going to be the best X factor. Sonny Gray, will he adapt to pitching in the AL East this time around with the Red Sox? Even Ranger Suarez, how will he pitch in the AL East? That's another question. But I do think that there's a lot of talent. And like I said, they have some pieces that they could bring up. Conley Early, Peyton Tolley, potentially even Franklin Arias at some time this year. I'm going to go with the easy over. I'm going 91 wins for the Boston Red Sox. As always, let us know what you guys think about the Red Sox this year. Me and JD are up on them this year. And we want to see, are you guys up on them or are you a little bit more down on them? Obviously, maybe losing Bregman, something to take into account. Let us know in the comment section. As always, we love hearing from you guys. Thank you guys so much for your continuous amount of support. We'll catch you guys in the next one, guys. Peace.